Ich glaube, wir kommen jetzt zum Höhepunkt des ganzen Tages, denn jetzt geht es ans Eingemachte, jetzt geht es darum, weswegen wir eigentlich hier sind. Weil, wenn das gelingt, was in Argentinien passiert, dann hätten wir ein Role Model, von dem uns alle gesagt haben, das kann nicht funktionieren, das wird nicht funktionieren, wir brauchen mehr Staat, mehr Sozialismus, wir brauchen Gleichheit, wir brauchen mehr Klimagerechtigkeit, vielleicht brauchen wir etwas mehr Freiheit, vielleicht etwas mehr Deregulierung und deswegen sind wir alle hier und ich habe, glaube ich, Leute, die aus allererster Hand erzählen können, was da passiert. Ich darf in der Reihenfolge vorstellen nach Schönheit Anthony P. Mueller, emeritierter Professor aus Brasilien. Dann Rainer Zitelmann, bekannt durch etwa 5.327 Bücher über Kapitalismus und Freiheit. Und wir haben Philipp Bagus, vielleicht der beste deutsche Argentinien-Kenner, Milei-Kenner, der viel über Argentinien geschrieben hat, über Milei geschrieben hat. Und wir haben jemand aus allererster Quelle, Ivan Dubois, Berater von Presidente Milei. Okay, wir wollen uns erstmal die Frage stellen, was läuft eigentlich in Argentinien und wen kann man da eher fragen als Ivan Dubois. Wir machen das Ganze auf Englisch, damit er uns folgen kann. Mr. Dubois, tell us something about the situation now in Argentina. We heard that the economy is growing, inflation is coming down. Is there something which is not working so good, or is everything just fantastic?
Oh, I mean everything. Hello to all. Thank you to listen to me. We are many people. I believe we are. I think the libertarian movements around the world, they are not that. They don't gather that many people like in Germany. Of course, in Argentina we gather a lot, but I think you are going in the right direction. In Argentina, everything is super good since we have a libertarian president. I mean, that's something, right? The first libertarian president in the history of the world. And, you know, the inflation is going down. The freedom is going up, which is most important of all. Now you can walk in Argentina without the fear that someone come and kill you just for a few bucks. So we are now the safest country in Latin America. Great.
There might be a little difference to Brazil, where Lula is president. There is just an economy which is not really growing. Anthony Mueller, can you tell us something about Brazil in contrast to Argentina? Where's the difference?
Here.
Well, thank you. Brazil is the biggest country of America, Southern America. It has the largest economy there, and what is happening in Brazil will influence much more the rest of South America than any other country can. Unfortunately, it is still very dominated by statist philosophies. It's from the school up to the Supreme Court. It's not really leftist, it's statist in its fullest sense. And but when you talk and when you see what's going on, you also notice that actually it's quite typical, this paradox, that where a government, where a society is very oriented towards the state, it does not work. So one of the catchwords, of course, is personal security, personal safety. The other point is infrastructure. So when you have a view of Brazil, you have a very strange kind of combination where the state, the bureaucracy is everywhere. The whole mental outlook is statist, but actually what is to be expected from the state is not happening. Education does not work well, infrastructure is problematic, and safety, of course, it's well known. But there is hope, and this hope comes now from Argentina. There's a certain rivalry between Argentina and Brazil. They make joke about each other's, and in football, of course, it's a mega rivalry. But I hope that Milei will succeed, and when Milei will succeed, there is also a great hope for Brazil.
Philip Bagus, you are one of the best experts for Javier Milei. You know him personally. Could you describe the situation now in Argentina? We know there's kind of midterm elections coming, which might be very decisive for Milei too, because now he's only president. Then he could perhaps have other powers in parliament. Is there enthusiasm in the population, or how would you describe the situation in Argentina? Do they accept what is happening? Do they cheer? Are they enthusiastic about growing economy, coming inflation down, or what's the situation in Argentina?
Well, about the situation on the ground, I think Ivan could say more things, but I can talk to you about the numbers. So the greatest achievement of Javier Milei is, in my opinion, that he has stopped the inflation getting out of control. Yeah, in 2023, inflation was increasing, speeding up, and in December 2023, it was 25% monthly. Yeah, consumer good prices. The government deficit was the consolidated government deficit was 15% of GDP. I mean, in the European Union, we have like the Stability and Growth Pact, it's limited like 3%. So it was 5 times 15%. And all this was financed by printing of new pesos. So it was all prepared for hyperinflation. Yeah, it's almost impossible to stop it. But he did. So I think this is the greatest achievement. And this was one of the main reasons he was elected for also. He promised to bring inflation down, and he said, I will do it by reducing government spending and thereby reducing the deficit. And that he did. And he cut government spending 30% in real terms, which is unprecedented in peace times. Yeah, after a war, it's easy to cut government spending because you cut military spending. But this was in peacetime, and in peacetime, to cut 30% of government spending in a very short time, it's unprecedented. And this without riots in the street. I mean, if in Germany we would cut 30% government spending in a short time, I mean, this is unthinkable. I mean, all the NGOs, the left would mobilize, they would destroy the country, basically. It's unthinkable. It's only thinkable in Argentina because Milei convinced the people in a long time of 10 years, changing the mentality, explaining the complex ideas of economics to a very broad public, and they voted him for that. Yeah? Milei, when he was elected in his first speech, he said famously, "No hay plata," there's no money. Yeah? And people applauded. Yeah? Normally, when presidents or chancellors are elected, when in their first speech they say, "Oh, we will give more money to the military," or "We will give more money to the pensioners," or "We will give more money to the green industries," whatever. And he said the opposite. He says, "There is no money." But people applauded because they understood that this is good for the country. It will bring inflation down, and it will bring back growth. Because, of course, inflation not only is a redistribution where the poor suffer most, it's also distorting relative prices, and economic calculation gets next to impossible. So if you bring this high inflation down, already this brings economic growth. And economic growth is traveling at 7%, I think, in the second quarter, 7.6%, something like this. the economy is growing, expected to grow. So I think from this perspective, to come back to your question, there should be hope and expectations of a great future ahead, especially if then the election in October is won.
Okay, thank you, Philip. So the question, Germany is going the opposite way. We have a debt bazooka, €1 billion, organized by the state. So Rainer Zitelmann was writing books about capitalism, free markets. Is there any hope for Germany that we once will go away like Argentina went? Or do you think we have to have a crisis like in Argentina, that we are so done that we elect somebody like Javier Milei, who was an outsider in any case? So what has to happen in Germany that we perhaps copy ideas from Argentina?
Yes, I studied what happened in Argentina. I've been there first time, 2022. I met Ivan. He was the first one, Ivan and Lilia, who will talk later, to learn about the Milei movement. And I've been there at 23, 24 every year. But before I came to Argentina, I commissioned a poll in 35 countries about the image of the market economy, the image of capitalism. And what I saw, first I was a little bit surprised in 2022, that Argentina was one of the most pro-free market countries in public opinion. Some people thought maybe there's a mistake in the poll. But what happened, and this is something very important for us in Germany, before Milei came, there were many years where his movement, but also libertarian think tanks, did a lot to educate people to have a shift in the public opinion. And this is something that we have to understand. Before you can change something in a country, two things have to happen. First, of course, there has to be a real desperation, a big crisis. It never happened in history that people in a country said, okay, things are okay, but we should have some capitalist reforms, maybe it can be better. It never happened. It was always a disaster before. When Maggie Thatcher came to power, or when Balcerowicz started with his economic reforms in Poland, first it was really bad. And even worse as it is in Germany right now. But this is only one condition, because this is something that you have to understand. History is not like a Hollywood movie where the happy end is guaranteed. If things become bad, they can even become worse. This is what happened in Venezuela, for example. In 1970, Venezuela was one of the 20 richest countries in the world, and the richest country in Latin America. And then they started with regulation, more regulation, more regulation. Situation became bad. But then there was no Javier Milei. Then there was Hugo Chavez, and he made things worse. And you know what happened now in Venezuela? 80% of the people in Venezuela live in extreme poverty. By the way, 30% fled to other countries because they forget one thing. If we have socialism, we have to build a wall. We know it in Germany, but they forgot it to build the wall because otherwise people will go away. So what can we learn from Argentina, and what does it mean for Germany? I think it's not enough that the situation becomes worse and worse. We know it from Germany when the situation was very bad in the 30s. There was no Milei, but there was Hitler, and they voted for Hitler, so the situation became worse. So it can always become worse, as with Hugo Chavez, for example. So don't think, sometimes people tell me, oh, let's wait until things become very bad in Germany and then we will have a shift. No, it will only happen under one precondition, when first there's a shift in public opinion. And this will not happen automatically. This is the result of the work of people like you here. And what think tanks do. These think tanks are very, very important in Argentina. And that is the big problem in Germany, that we have not this culture with libertarian think tanks. So this is my first answer. And the second answer is, we as libertarians have to learn from Milei. I had it in my presentation today, that it's not enough to speak about theories and about facts and about the economy, but that we have to learn to appeal to emotions for people. This is what Milei did. Of course, he's an economist on the one hand, but on the other hand, for me, he's a genius in self-marketing, and he's like a rock star. And I recommend to everyone to read the great book from Professor Bagus about Milei. That's one of his role models is Mick Jagger. And to appeal to the emotions of people. And this is so very important. It's not enough to speak about facts. And another thing, when I was first time in Argentina, I met not only my friend today, Ivan, but he was with Lilia. You will see her later. And she's very beautiful. And this is also important for movement from Milei. You have to have some beautiful women. Only with libertarian nerds, you will be not very attractive for all these other people. So also another lesson that we can learn from Javier Milei.
Well, I think Milei was so successful because Ivan Dubois is so beautiful. Thank you. I know that. So Ivan, so the difference between Germany and Argentina is now we have no rock star, kind of libertarian rock star. We have the Hayek-Gesellschaft, the Mises Club, and also that stuff. But you cannot find them publicly. Their YouTube channels are not very huge, so this is a problem. How did Milei became a rock star, and why thought people, okay, I'm going to elect this guy, even if he's a little bit crazy, as it seems, but he might have a point. Why did they vote him, and why do they accept now that he's making radical changes, which normally in Germany would lead to protests and revolutions, perhaps?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for saying me beautiful. I know I am.
Yes.
Lilia is more beautiful than me, so okay. He also has a brain and character and more balls than many men, because I'm going to answer your question. Just give me 2 minutes. In the cultural fight become a cultural war. That means in every stage of the society there is a fight. Not against only one enemy, if not as many enemies. If you are going to work in politics like we did, be prepared, because the leftists will operate you through media, as Lilia suffered many times. I mean, hundreds of times. You asking me many questions. Why, for example, the people in Argentina support all these supposed cuts and reforms? Because it's work. The most important of all, everything that my friend here said are true, but the most important of all is what we achieve. Remember that the socialists make you poor and then kill you, and we take out, we raise 12 million people from poverty in over only 2 years, and we are almost 50 million of inhabitants in Argentina. So our success is 10 or 12 million of poor people less in Argentina. This is why our economy is starting to grow. This is why we have 90% more properties selling, 60% more cars. The economy is growing almost 6%. of GDP is projected to grow only 1 year. That's a lot for any country. That's a lot for a poor country, as it is. Argentina is poor right now, rich in resources, but poor for some reason. I mean, everybody know what reason are the socialists. But remember, this is important. This is really important. We have the right ideas. We libertarians have the right ideas. These ideas are working in the world, work in Argentina, who used to be the most socialist country only before Venezuela. We are more free, we have more economical freedom, and then we are richer. So this is why the Argentinian people are supporting all these difficult moments. The difficult moment, we have a small contraction in the economic activity for a period of 6 months, and that now it become like a short V, and we are growing as no one expected. So our ideas, our libertarian ideas work. We are in the right side. We are the good guys. The socialists are the bad guys. The socialists invade Ukraine. The socialists will do everything they can to make us poor, because if we are poor, we are easily controlled by any state or the government. So that's why Argentinian people resist.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, you lived in Brazil. The situation is completely different, isn't it? Because Brazil is going down in a way economically. They now try to partner with China. So they make a different choice. Milei is clearly pro-West, clearly pro-US, clearly pro-European. He's not a friend of Russian invasion in Ukraine. Do you think Brazil will change too, or is it impossible because they want their own way and Argentina is kind of a rival, which is, you don't copy your rival?
Well, first of all, Brazil must not be subestimated of its importance, of its size, of its economy, and of its role in the world. And it has a strong diplomatic core historically. So international relations is one of the strong points of Brazil. And one thing I have to tell you, all of you, that Brazil felt abandoned by Europe. Europe turned its face away, Germany turned its face away. It was one of the strongest investors in Brazil in the 50s and 60s. And even worse, the past governments demonstrated a very ugly face. They accused Brazil of burning down the jungle, the Amazonas, and so there was a growing resentment, I think not just in Brazil, but many other countries of this type. What are these Yankees, let them call them, these imperialists, telling us? And it was driven towards China. It did not really want people in Brazil. The Brazilian typical is a lover of America. America is the greatest country. They admire Europe. But over the past decades, they have felt to be discriminated, to be looked down, and so there is some kind of unwanted relationship with China, very strong. It's now the largest trading partner, and it is interesting, very interesting for both sides, because it's almost a natural symbiosis. Brazil has all the things that China needs, and China produces all the things that Brazil wants. So it's a very strong relationship. It's getting more intensive. And Lula is one of the leading persons of the BRICS group. That was just a conference happening in Rio de Janeiro, a big conference from delegates all over the world, from Africa, Asia, other South American countries, but almost no one from Europe, almost no reports in the German or Western press. And so there is a new world coming up which isolates in a certain way internationally Argentina as one of the last or only countries in this hemisphere or in the area of the developing world to have a strong allegiance to the United States and to Europe. So Brazil seems at the moment, at least under the leadership of Lula, of turning its head away from the US, particularly recently when the US announced high tariffs against Brazil, which is another movement to turn away. And as I mentioned, it has been felt very bitterly in Brazil from some German representative. I won't name the name. Anybody knows. They appeared in Brazil like clowns, traveling around and preaching what to do with the Amazon. This is a bad attitude, and the consequences also for Europe are probably not very good.
Philip, we had, when we turn back to Argentina, the first reaction in German newspapers, in the media was, Milei is kind of market fascist, right? And so the perception was very negative. Now he's successful, inflation is coming down, economy is growing, and now is silence. You don't hear anything about, oh, see, Argentina has good growth rates. We did underestimate that before. We thought, oh, he's bringing the country down, and Friedrich Merz, the now chancellor, said, oh, he's doing very bad things to his country, this Milei. Why don't German media report about Argentina, about the model which is now successful? Meantime, we are, have a recession or zero growth. What is happening in Germany that there's no objective reporting about that?
They have much to lose. They have much to lose. The media is very leftist, very statist, and if Milei is successful with his libertarian ideas and with the ideas of the Austrian School of Economics in Argentina, and brings about what is considered an economic miracle, that's not good for them. They want him to fail, and therefore they paint him as a radical rightist, because they want to frame him in this direction. They fear him. They fear that he has success. And therefore, they don't report any numbers anymore. In the beginning, they said the poverty rate went up and so on, but now it's silent. Why? Because Argentina proves, as Ivan also said, shows that these are the better ideas. We have the better ideas, and they, as Ivan also said, they are the bad guys, so they hide it. Dr. Zitelmann said very correctly, we have to appeal to emotions, and the left are very good at it. And we have to appeal also to the sense of justice. Socialism does not only lead to poverty, it's also unjust. The only just system is a capitalist system. And therefore, these people, they hate, they have this hatred, this envy towards success and to growth, and they want to control. As Ivan said, they are the bad guys. And of course the bad guys, they won't report about the successes of Argentina. They want to continue to live on the state. It's their business model to be statist, to live off state money, and then if the ideas of liberty are successful in Argentina, of course they will not report. I mean, they are the bad guys, we are the good guys. That's important.
Whether you have been reading some newspaper articles, when I came here, I read an article from the Mittelbayerische Zeitung, never heard that newspaper before, but however, and they said, Afuera festival, you all guys, you are enemies of the democracy. You have to be very bad people, you are very right-wing, you don't like equality, you are bad. So the difference in Argentina is no one thinks Milei is a right-wing fascist. Why not?
Okay. I have been called Nazi in several countries. You know, I have been called Nazi in Argentina. I'm not a socialist, you know, just to be clear. I have been called Nazi in Ukraine when I went. Also, Zelensky is a Nazi, is a Jew Nazi, it's like some kind of new Nazi. I don't know what they are thinking, but their lies are getting poorer and poorer, or they are getting dumb or stupid or retarded. So the leftists are retarded. That's in our favor. We are better. We are more beautiful, more intelligent, and we have the right on our side, which is things, for example, you cannot spend more money than you want. Oh, it's easy for us. For the leftists, it's a complicated concept. We want to be more free. Every one of you who are sitting here know how to become this country better. So remember that you already have the tools. You should need to go out of this underground-ish movement of libertarians and make a national party and win the elections. You have the tools. Also, your enemies, cultural enemies, I mean, don't think we are some kind of Nazi, for God's sake. They don't know how to talk in public. They don't know how to read, because this is not the leftists 20 years ago who they study and do all these important cultural things. They are dumb. So you can go and win more easily than you think. In Argentina, Javier Milei has been called many times Nazi, which is a criminal offense by our justice system. But they didn't care. They say, Javier Milei, it's a Nazi, then everybody around are Nazi, because, for example, I have blue eyes, Lilia too, so blonde people, blue eyes, of course, they are Nazi. No. They don't even think we are Nazi. They have afraid, because they are losing power. And power for them is money. This is just business for them. It's not like ours. Everybody here are here for the ideals, not for the money. You want the money working. They don't know how to work. They don't know how to use their hand even. So, yes, we are continuously being called many things. Fascist, for example, which is totally opposite of what a libertarian or a liberal means. We hate the state. The state is an evil force. It needs to be cut down, and over time, and when the technology allows it, and our society evolve in a cultural sense, erased completely. So, we are not fascist. We are not socialist like the Nazi were. So, I think that's it.
So it's the Nazis in Germany were National Socialists. This is something we should always remember, I think. National Socialists. And I think libertarians are neither national nor socialist. So Rainer Zitelmann, you've been writing a book recently, something, and you changed something. You didn't only present facts, but you wrote a novel, a story, just to emotionalize people by showing a story where women who are beautiful are discriminated because they're beautiful, because everybody has to be equal and all that stuff. Is it a success is there a difference between writing a book about facts or writing something, a novel, stuff like that? Do you see different numbers in selling?
Yes, first of all, I wrote 29 non-fiction books. For example, one book, Hitler's National Socialism. This is what a lot of people don't understand, that Hitler was much more anti-capitalist and socialist than most people would admit. By the way, it's published now in many languages, and in a few weeks we'll have also a Spanish edition so that people in Argentina can also read the book. But before I come to your question, I want to say something, come back to Milei, because I hoped that he will have success. But on the other hand, I know from other economic reforms that before you succeed, that first there's a time where things will become worse. This was with Maggie Thatcher for 2 years. This was with Balcerowicz in Poland for 2 years. And so I expected, to be honest, for Argentina to have 2 very difficult years. And my doubt was always, will people in Argentina be patient enough, and this is the question I asked everyone, will they be patient enough when they have to see that before things become better, there will be 2 bad years? But I was wrong in this way. It was not 2 years. It happened even faster than I expected, but this was the reason why I had lectures in 2024 in Argentina about the experience in Poland. I told everyone, be patient with Milei. You have only 2 possibilities. The first thing is you lose your patience and you will go back to socialism and back to all this inflation and things that happened. Or you are patient and you will wait for some time, but it happened much faster. So, and then coming back to your question, yes, this is correct. After writing so many non-fiction books, I wrote my first novel. It will be also published in 2 months in Spanish language, by the way, so hopefully I can also come back to Argentina to present it there. It's an anti-egalitarian story, because the problem is with socialists, it's a religion driven by envy. I don't care about social equality. I don't care about inequality. And this is the same with Milei, care about poverty. And these are 2 very different questions, whether you care about poverty on the one hand or inequality on the other hand. Inequality is not a problem for me. Poverty is the problem. And this is, so I wrote a book about inequality. The German title is 2075, wenn Schönheit zum Verbrechen wird. I hope some of you will buy this book. And it's a new, whether it will be successful, it was successful now for the first month, but I have to wait. But the most important success for me was that my other books, 90% of readers are men. And for this book, 45% are women. And I think this is also, maybe I can ask you also this question. I think this is very important, and a bad thing with libertarians in a lot of countries that they only attract men. I saw it when I was in 30 countries and I had my lectures, 90% were men. There were not enough women. I think in Argentina it's a little bit different. Maybe I can give the question back also to you. How did Milei, and it's not only Milei, your movement, how important was it for your movement also to attract women for your movement? And I'm sure, and I know one thing, you did it with any kind of feminism, because Milei, I think he's anti-feminist as I am anti-feminist. So he didn't do it with feminism, but how did he do it?
Okay. Thank you. Well, Rainer, he maybe be a bit more hard on feminists than you. Or I remember in the campaign, the media say Javier Milei is like anti-woman. He hates woman. He's misogynist, I think. So he started to complaining. He always mistreat woman on the media. And what the media did is putting some woman who started to yell at him and started to say ridiculous things about him. And he, of course, become angry and say, there, look, he's misogynist. Well, to a liberal or a libertarian, we don't care about his gender. You can be a woman, man, plant, we don't care if I don't have to pay, you can be a beer, or, I don't know. Feel if you are this stage. This is why we have many women as a ministry. We put the best human being in every position. Doesn't matter if they are woman or man. This is how we achieve to give the women a right opportunity in politics. You come, if you are good, you go to this position. If you are not, you are not. Finish. That's it. It's easy. It's easy for us, for the libertarians. We see merit. We see how you concrete what you say. We see if you work with the truth. The truth is what will make your political speech powerful. Powerful beyond your borders, your customs, or even your language. Javier Milei promised us a lot of things, and only in 1 year and a half, he achieved everything he said. Everything. And now we have extra time. Some much more beautiful things will come. Thank you.
Hopefully. Anthony, one question about Donald Trump and Javier Milei. They seem to be best friends. Now Donald Trump is making, in my opinion, a stupid policy by raising tariffs against everybody and against Brazil 50% because of Bolsonaro, and perhaps against another country 70% because of someone else. So what does Milei say to Donald Trump, or is he critical of the tariffs, of, charging fees for other countries to import goods?
Well, as much as I support intellectually Milei in his economic policy, the more I'm skeptical about his international relations, about his foreign policy. He's isolated in all of Latin America because of his strong alliance with America. Trump, of course, is absolutely hated all over South America, or Latin America, even beginning with Mexico. And he's making matters worse with his tariffs. And so, on the other hand, South America also feels isolated from Europe, as I said. And so, in the overall perspective, I would say to align oneself with the United States in this time with this president is not the best solution. Up to now, it was a little bit lucky that Trump won the presidency, because Argentina has the highest debt of any country against the International Monetary Fund. And it was very important that the biggest number of votes, the United States, in the IMF would concede the new votes, the new loans, and extend it. That was a very difficult situation, hardly reported in the international press, but it was a pivotal point. Now Argentina has enough foreign exchange to go on, but how long? The big question for me, also for Argentina, is not so much the internal situation. This looks fairly good, but the international aspect and the international economic aspect. As we know as of now, the Argentinian peso is very strong. It's actually overvalued. This means that Argentina is not strong in its exports, which means it does not receive enough foreign exchange, and so it's dependent on loans, but private banks will not yet loan to Argentina. So I would say, instead of just praising everything, which is terrific, I fully support it. I'm very happy that he won the election. We must also think about the external factors, and that's where I see the weak point.
Thank you, Anthony. Philip, one question: why didn't Javier Milei kill the central bank? Something he promised to do. What about the peso, still alive? Something he said he perhaps will kill the peso too. So what do you think are the next steps of Javier Milei, and will it be enough to win the midterm elections?
Well, let me first say something about poverty and inequality. Yeah, so I'm totally on your side that the important thing is to eradicate poverty, and socialism produces poverty and capitalism raises people out of it. But I'm not only not indifferential about inequality, but inequality is actually good. Inequality is part and parcel of the market process. In the market process, everyone receives or tends to receive what he contributes for others. Yeah? He produces something that is valued by others, by consumers. And of course some people produce things that are valued more highly than others in the eyes of consumers. So consumer sovereignty and the market economy imply that there's inequality. You can only get rid of inequality with socialism, with totalitarian direct control. So you cannot be against inequality and be in favor of freedom, because it's part and parcel of the market. The central bank, yeah. The central bank is something that Javier Milei wants to abolish, and it should be abolished, of course. The thing is how to do it in an orderly way. Because if you don't do it in an orderly way, it may lead to political difficulties and also to social tensions that you don't want to happen. Imagine the situation in 2023. Inflation was accelerating. It reached 25% per month in December. The central bank had negative foreign reserves, net negative foreign reserves, so it was indebted in dollars. There was a deficit of 15%. If in this moment you abolish the central bank, people will completely abandon the peso. And will stop using the pesos, and that means there's a hyperinflation. Yeah? Stopping using one currency means you don't value it anymore, which means that prices skyrocket and there's a hyperinflation. And if there's a hyperinflation, then there's total chaos for some time. And this total chaos can be used by your political opponents to foster this unrest and to make a coup, a political coup. So, and then you have against the Kirchneristas in power. So if you don't want to do this, you better do it in an orderly way. And therefore, to do this, you have to first get in order the balance sheet of the central bank. Yeah? This has been largely done, also with the IMF loan, which increased the dollar reserves. And you should also get the banking system in order. So you need full reserves, because if you abolish the central bank and switch to dollars, and the banks don't have 100% reserves, that they don't have for all the demand deposits, they have dollars, then can there be a new corralito, there can be new bank run, and the banking system can collapse. So in order to get rid of the peso and the central bank, you first have to reform the banking system to a full reserve system, and this has not been done yet. And this takes, of course, some time. So before the election, I don't think it's possible. It's possible to do. But there was the election in Ciudad Autónoma de Buenos Aires, which gives optimism. Actually, when we were in Buenos Aires, there was the slogan was "Adorni es Milei." Yes. So Adorni was the candidate, the main candidate for La Libertad Avanza, and S is in German. It's like is. Yeah. So Adorni is Milei. Of course, you will only do this if you think that your candidate, that Milei, who is doing these reforms, is very popular. I mean, in Germany, no one would have posted Pistorius is Scholz, for instance. no one would have done this.
Baerbock.
Yeah. So, but in Argentina they do Adorni is Milei. So this gives you optimism. And then he wins the election, that the October election can also be won.
Thank you, Philipp. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Rainer. Thank you, Philipp. Thank you, Anthony. Danke euch, dass ihr hier wart, dass ihr hier seid. Afuera. Jetzt kommt noch Lydia und wird einiges zu uns sagen. Ich hoffe, sie ist gleich auf der Bühne. Danke euch.